Hello everyone and welcome to the second video in my special series for Christmas. In this video, you'll find everything you need to build a gingerbread house from scratch. And this includes first, how to make all of the walls for the house without a mold or a cutter. Second, I'm going to share with you how to make the perfect royal icing, which will act as a glue to stick all of the gingerbread walls together. And finally, there are a lot of ideas and tips and inspiration on how to decorate your gingerbread house with just the royal icing and some popular candies and cookies that you can find at any supermarket. So these are the ingredients that you will need to make the gingerbread dough cookies, which will become the walls and the roofs for the house. So I just want to mention that the template for the house is available for download and you can find the link in the description below this video. First, melt the butter and then let it cool down to room temperature. And while waiting for the butter to cool, we can prepare the flour mixture by sifting into a mixing bowl the flour, ginger powder, cinnamon powder, salt. Then mix everything well and set it aside. Back to the butter. Now that the butter is cool and solidifies a bit, then we can start to add the icing sugar in. So we sift the icing sugar into the bowl but in 3 or 4 parts, and for each part we want to fold gently until the icing sugar is totally combined in the butter. Then we add the next portion of sugar. Once all of the sugar has been added and incorporated with the butter, we can start to add the honey all at once and then gently fold in. Lastly, add into the bowl the egg yolks and flavors to your taste. Here I use some vanilla extract and orange essence, but please feel free to use whatever you like. Mix until all of the ingredients are incorporated and we have a smooth and fine batter. I'm gonna get 1/3 of the batter, which is about 140 grams, and set it aside. Then I do the same with the flour mixture to get 1/3 of it, which is also between 140 and 150 grams. We will end up with 2 parts of ingredients. The larger part will be used to make the walls of the house, and the smaller part will be mixed with red food color to make the roof. And lastly, we are gonna mix the flour mixture and the batter together. I start with the bigger part first, which will be used to make the walls of the house. We only need to fold it gently and then knead the dough a little bit to help all of the ingredients to be incorporated. And once we have a ball of dough, we can cover it with plastic wrap and then let it rest in the fridge for at least 30 minutes until it's firm enough to be rolled out. For the smaller part of the ingredients, we first mix the butter and yolk batter with some red food color. And then we are going to use some cocoa powder and mix it with the flour mixture. This cocoa powder will give the redness of the roof a very nice dark and warm shade. And lastly, we mix the dry flour with the batter until they are combined and together create a ball of dough like in the video. We also cover this dough with plastic wrap and let it rest in the fridge as we did with the previous part of dough for the walls. So after about 30 minutes, we take the dough out of the fridge, and I have prepared a sheet of parchment paper here. What I'm going to do is that I put the dough onto this parchment paper, and then I put another sheet of parchment paper above it, and I'm going to roll the dough out through this parchment paper. The advantage of this method is that we can prevent the dough sticking to our rolling pin, and it also gives the dough a very smooth surface. When we roll the dough, try not to push the pin down but lean on it, because pushing the pin down will make the dough to be broken. We want the dough to be about 5 milliliters thick. And once the dough is ready, with the help of the template, we are going to cut the dough into pieces of walls and roof of the house. I put the link to download this template in the description below this video, so if you need it, don't forget to check it out. When finished with cutting, remove the parchment paper and also the dough which is around these pieces of walls. Cut along the edges of these pieces to make sure that they are separate from each other, and then put them back into the fridge for at least 30 minutes more so that they will become very firm. We do the same thing with the part of dough for the roof. After being chilled, the dough is very firm now and is ready to be baked. Preheat the oven to 190 degrees C for about 15 minutes. Then put this dough into the oven and bake it at 190 degrees for 7 to 8 minutes. Then we rotate the baking tray and continue to bake them at 170 degrees C in another 8 to 10 minutes until the edge of the cookies turn golden brown. Right after we take the cookies out of the oven, immediately use the template to trim off the edges of the cookies. This should be done very fast, like in 2 to 3 minutes after we take the cookies out, because if we do it later, the cookies will get firmer and it will be very hard for us to cut them. Let these cookies cool down completely and we continue to bake the other pieces of the house. Here I have some dough left from the batch that was used to make the walls of the house. I'm mixing it with some cocoa powder so that it's lightly brown, and then I use the same method to make the small details of the house such as the door, the chair, or the windows. Note that when we bake these small details, the baking time will be shorter, which is between 10 to 14 minutes. To make the royal icing, we will need some egg white, powdered sugar, and cream of tartar. Boil some water in a small saucepan. When the water is boiled, set the heat to low and put the bowl with the egg white onto the pan. The steam from the pan will heat up the egg white. Keep stirring constantly to prevent the white from curdling. When the egg white reaches between 60 and 70 degrees C, we take the bowl out and continue beating for another 30 seconds. Add the cream of tartar and continue beating at low speed until the egg white turns foamy. At this stage, we can start to add sugar little by little. Be sure that the sugar is incorporated into the egg white before we add extra sugar. As we add more sugar to the egg white, we will see that the egg white becomes thicker and glossier. We may not need to use up all of the amount of sugar as stated in the recipe, but we want to make sure that we will reach the stage when the icing is very thick and can form stiff peak like in the video. If you want the royal icing to have some more flavor, you can add some vanilla extract here. Put this royal icing into a piping bag and then seal it carefully. This royal icing will get dry and become firm very fast if they are exposed to the air, so be very careful with this. The recipe for royal icing in this video is for 1 egg white, but we may need more than that. For example, I had to use 4 egg whites for my royal icing, so make sure that you will have enough icing for your house. Now that we have all of the gingerbread cookies and icing sugar, we can start to build our dream house. I'm gonna decorate the wall and the roof first before assembling the house. As you can see in the video, I use the green icing sugar with tip number 65 to create some green vine around the door of the house. This is a leaf tip, but we even don't need to pipe a real leaf here. Just make it wavy, ruffle, and rustic. With a similar technique, I'm gonna draw a wreath on the wall and also some greens below the window. And to finish, I add some red fruits with the round tip number 3. When it's done, give it some minutes for the icing to get drier and firmer. Meanwhile, we can go and decorate the roof of the house and the chimney. So when all of the drawing is done and the icing is firm, we can start to build the house. Prepare a base for the house and relocate the place where we want the house to be. Then use the generous amount of icing to stick the walls to this base. As this icing will need some minutes to get firm completely, use some boxes to support the walls so that they will not fall down. So when all of the walls have been assembled, we will wait for at least half an hour for the icing to get dry completely before putting the roofs onto it. Meanwhile, we can do the decoration to some other details of the house. When the icing is firm and the walls are ready, we can put on the roofs. You can use some boxes to support the roof so that it won't slide down, and we leave it about 30 minutes for the icing to get firm. To finish, we put the doll into its place and also create some doorsteps in front of the house. Here are some details that I'm gonna use to decorate my house: the fence, some berries, chocolate flakes, colorful candies, and some trees. I'm using some pretzel sticks and royal icing to make the fence. Royal icing is a kind of perfect glue that can help us to assemble whatever we like. Just make sure to give it enough time so that the icing gets dry and firm completely. Also, with pretzel sticks, popcorns, and icing sugar, I'm making some trees here. I'd like the house to have more green, so I draw some vines on the walls of the house. And I plant some berries and the trees in front of the house. For me, this decoration part is the best part of building a gingerbread house. If you would like to have more ideas or inspirations, I have a board on my Pinterest in which I have collected many beautiful gingerbread houses. Please feel free to check the link in the description below this video. Just let imagination and creativeness guide you and have a lot of fun. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have found a lot of inspiration from it. Please stay tuned for more videos on Christmas cooking and Christmas baking on Silver Days Kitchen. I hope to see you again very soon. Goodbye.